Hi everybody and welcome back to Love English with Leila and Sabrah. I'm Sabrah. Today we're going to be looking at 10 grammar mistakes that are very common. So learning grammar is a little bit like eating a salad. It doesn't always taste that nice, it's not the best experience, but you know that it's good for you. So learning grammar is very important, obviously, in English, and these are the 10 mistakes that I've heard the most often as an English teacher. I currently work at a university teaching English, and I hear these mistakes all the time in the classroom, so I'm sharing them with you today to help you guys improve your grammar. So number 1, adding s to irregular plurals. So this is men's, women's, children's and people's. Now, in these cases, we can only add an s when it is belonging to something. For example, the men's jumpers. Here you can add an s because it belongs to them with an apostrophe. However, if you're not doing that, you can't add an s. It does not exist in English. It's an irregular plural. I know, English is a difficult and complicated language, but there we go. So, 1 man, 2 men, 3 men, 100 men. Never men's, never 6 men's, 6 men. And this is the same for children, for people, and for women. So for example, children, 1 child, 3 children, not children's. And the same for people. So stop adding those s's. Number 2. Again, this is about s. S seems to be a tricky letter. So in the present simple tense, we have, of course, I go. So we have I, you, we, they, he, she, it. Now in the third person, for example, he, she, it, we need to add an s in the present simple. I go, you go, he, she, it goes. Now this can be difficult to remember because most of the time in English it's all the same. I go, you go, they go, but the third person can trip you up. It needs an s. She does, she plays, he listens, he dances. We can't forget that s. Now what I tell my students is that it's a very sexy s, so it can't be forgotten. Don't forget the sexy s. Number 3, adding am or are when you don't need it, when it's already a verb. This happens most frequently with agree. I have heard students so many times say, I'm agree. You don't need I am agree, it's just I agree. I agree is already a verb, so we don't need the verb to be here. It's just I agree or I disagree. So if you're saying I'm agree, no, just say I agree. Number 4, problems with adverbs. Now normally an adverb, which goes with a verb, add verb, meaning adding more meaning to a verb, describing the verb. How does she talk? She talks quickly. How does she run? She runs slowly. Normally we have ly on the end of the adverb, but we have some that are irregular. For example, fast. Fast does not have ly. You cannot say he runs fastly. You would say he runs quickly. So try to remember there are some irregular ones. The other one is hard. Now you can say hardly, but not in the way you think. So for example, if we want to say she works hard, hard is the adverb there. It would be incorrect to add ly. If you say hardly, this actually means infrequently. So for example, I hardly go to the gym. This is an adverb, but it's describing an infrequency, so not often. I hardly go to the gym means I don't go to the gym often. So it's actually an adverb of frequency here. But if we want to describe how hard we do something, so I'm working hard, I'm studying hard, I'm listening hard, you cannot add ly, it's just hard. Number 4, adding time to the present perfect tense. The present perfect tense is a tense which doesn't use time, except if we're using for and since. So, for example, you can't say, I've been to London yesterday. We don't add specific time with the present perfect. It's a particular tense in that way. It's for more connecting the present and the past. So we don't talk about specific things. Now, if you wanted to say yesterday, so talk about something that happened with a specific time, you need to use past simple. I went to London yesterday. I went to Australia last month. Not, I've been to Australia last month. So can you see, with time, we need to use the past simple tense. With the present perfect, we can use for and since, and ever and never, but that's all, no specific time. If you're confused by the horrible present perfect, you can go to Leila's lesson and learn all about it there. She makes it much easier. So watch that lesson at the end of this one. Number 6, parts of speech. Now, when we talk about parts of speech in English, we mean the kind of word that it is. For example, is it a verb? Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? Is it a pronoun? And learning these parts of speech is actually very important, because if you don't know which kind of word you're using, you won't know how to use it. So for example, let's look at the word different. Different is an adjective. I'm different to my sister. Now, what students often do is they confuse this and they'll put I'm different, which is actually the noun. Difference means there is a difference between me and my sister. That's the noun. So in this sentence, you'd want the adjective, I'm different to my sister. Or you might even make a mistake and put ly. You might even say I'm differently to my sister. So you need to make sure when you write sentences or when you're talking, am I using the right part of speech? Am I using an adjective when I need to? Am I using an adverb when I need to? Think about that, particularly when you're writing. Learn your parts of speech. And if you've watched my lesson on learning vocabulary, you'll know that one of my tips is to write the part of speech down next to the vocabulary so you understand more how to use it. So number 7. Now, this is a very common error, but this is actually something you learn very early on when you're learning English. And it is the difference between much, many, and a lot of. So much is for uncountable nouns, like rice, milk, money, things that we can't count. So many is for countable nouns, like apples, bananas, jumpers, t-shirts, things which we can individually count. So for example, you would say, there isn't much milk in the fridge, not there isn't many milk in the fridge. You also can't say, there are much apples. You would say, there are many apples. It's for countable. Now, a lot of is much easier because we can use it for both. You can say, I've got a lot of money. You can say, I've got a lot of apples. So you can use it for both, so it's a very useful one. So if you're ever confused, think, I'm not sure, is it much or many? Sometimes it's difficult to know if a noun is countable or uncountable, because in English we have some nouns which are actually uncountable, and in other languages they are countable, like hair. In English, hair is uncountable because we think of it as many, and so it'd be difficult to count all the individual hairs. But I know in some languages, like Italian and Spanish, hair is countable. So if you're not sure and if you're thinking, is it much or is it many, use a lot of, because you can use it for both. I've got lots of hair. So number 8, confusing state verbs. Now, a state verb is a state or a feeling which we can't change easily. It's more of a fixed situation. For example, to believe, to love, to hate, to know. If you add ing to this is incorrect. So you can't say, I'm believing in you. This is, I believe in you. You can't say, I'm loving you. I love you. It's a feeling, it's something that's more fixed. So don't add ing to state verbs. A good example of this for me is McDonald's. McDonald's says, I'm loving it. Actually, this is incorrect. This is bad grammar. I'm not a fan of McDonald's, so for me it's bad food, bad grammar. So again, another thing would be to hate. Do you hate grammar? You can tell me below, but get the grammar right. You hate grammar, you're not hating grammar. Number 9, comparative adjectives. Now what you do with comparative adjectives is you say more and you add er. Let's quickly review the rules of comparative adjectives. So a comparative compares two things and says that one is more than the other or less than the other. For example, Leila is quicker than me at editing. It's true. So for example here, Leila is quicker than me at editing. I can't add more here as I've already put er, which is already comparing. So if I said Leila is more quicker, this would be incorrect. And this is the mistake that I hear a lot of students making. They say, oh, it's more cheaper to go here. Or, oh, it's more quicker. It's quicker, it's cheaper, it's slower, you don't need more. The case where you need more is when the adjective is 3 syllables. There are a few exceptions to this rule, but usually when the adjective is 3 syllables, so for example, dangerous, beautiful, we can't add er. Dangerouser? No, doesn't work. Beautifuler? No, sounds terrible. So here you would add more. Paris is more dangerous than London. I don't know if that's true, it's just an example. But here you can see we add more. But if we already have er, we don't need more. Number 10, oh, we got there in the end. We're nearly through the salad. So this is all about articles. And I don't have time now to explain all about the differences between articles. We'll do a whole lesson on that. But this again is something that you make a lot of mistakes about, confusing a, an, and the. The indefinite article, which is a, an, and the definite article. And of course, we also have the zero article, which is when no article is used. So a and an are usually when something is not known to us very well, or it's the first time we're encountering it. For example, you might say, I've seen there's a new movie out. I've seen there's a new movie out. If you've watched the film, you would say, I've seen the new movie, because now you know it. It's more definite. So think about when you're speaking and review this. I will give some links in the description of how to use a and the. And again, we will do a lesson on this. But when you're speaking, think, do I know this thing? Should I be using the? Because the defines the thing. But a and an is when things are the first time or we don't know them very well. More about that next time. Right everybody, that was 10 frequent grammar mistakes from the English teaching classroom that I hear all the time. I hope this helps you improve your grammar. Please comment below. Tell me about the grammar that you have problems with and that you'd like us to make a video about. So please tell me what's an issue for you. We'd really like to know about that. Don't forget you can find us on Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. We'll see you soon. Bye bye. I visited Australia last month. Not I've been to Australia. I need to check this.
Is that recording?
Yeah, it's got the red button, red flash on it.
It only takes a minute.